Wingspan families, welcome to Lego class. In this video we're going to build castles. Now you may have seen a video by me where we built castles before. This time we're going to build a tall castle with a decorative front, more like the castle that a princess might live in. Castles and buildings in general look more interesting if they're not completely flat on the front. And so in this castle we're going to work on having bits that stick out, interesting features like pillars and arches. In section 1 of the video we'll build window panels. Section 2 we'll make sure we have good floors. Section 3 we'll work on columns. And then we'll have a section where we put that all together. And you can choose how many floors your castle is going to have, like by building different windows, different arches, different columns, and putting them together using the same general design multiple times. And then I'll show you how to stack those, and then we'll build the roof to finish off the castle. I'll see you at the end of the video. The first bit of our castle that we're going to work on are the window panels. On each level of your castle we want to have 2 matching window panels. You may have some pieces like this, where the whole panel is made for you already and there's a nice little arched window shape in it. But if you don't worry, we're going to look at how to build our own window panels. The 2 best pieces you can have if you don't have these are either this piece or this piece. And ideally you want the window panels on each level of your castle to match, so you want to make pairs of matching window panels. Now, we want to make window panels that have an arched window shaped like this and that are 5 bricks high. This is 5 bricks high, although you can't see it because it's all one piece. And either 4 studs wide like this or 6 studs wide. And I'll show you what I mean. Using a piece like this, this is a small arch which is 4 studs long and 1 stud high. You can make either of these. Here we have a panel with an arched window and it's 4 studs wide and 5 bricks high. And you see that uses 2 1x4 bricks and then 4 1x1 bricks. And it is exactly the same shape as the ready-made window panel, although the window is larger. And of course you could do the same by putting this in here and having a 1x4 brick across the top. Or here we can make a panel that is wider. It is 6 studs long, so it uses 2 1x6s, 4 1x2s, 2 1x1s, and then your 1x4 arch across the top. So whether you decide to make a panel like this or a panel like this probably depends on how many 1x2 bricks and how many 1x1 bricks you can find. And again, using this shape here, you could easily make a panel that is 6 studs long, 5 bricks high. Again, in this case, you would use 3 1x6 bricks and 4 1x2 bricks. You might also have a piece shaped like this. This is an arched window, which is the right shape for a castle, but you cannot use this piece on its own because it doesn't give you a flat top to match with the bricks. This piece should only be used along with a 1x4 arch, like this. And you see, you could fit this piece in neatly to any window made using the 1x4. So, look at the pieces you have, gather them up, and see how many window panels you can make. You want like I said, you want 2 window panels for each level of your castle. My castle is going to be 3 levels high, so I'm going to need 6 of these window panels. The best shape for this castle is 8 studs wide and 16 studs long. And you may have some big flat pieces that are this shape. But if you don't, you simply have to make it by adding together other flat pieces. So here's a random pile of flat pieces that I could use. I'm taking out any of them that are funny shapes and any of them that are only 1 stud wide. And that leaves me with these long pieces are 16 studs wide. So if I put 4 of them next to each other, but I don't have 4 of them. Let's see. This one is 16 studs long and 6 studs wide. So if I put it with this long piece, that makes the shape I'm looking for. Now, what else do I have? This one here is too short and not wide enough. But I could put this piece is the same length as this, and now this is wide enough. And then if I put this here, so now again, that's 8 studs wide, 16 studs long. So I'm going to move this one out of the way, put these 2 side by side, and put this one on the end. So you can see already I have made 3 versions of the shape that I'm looking for using a random collection of flat pieces. Now, of course, these are not stuck together, and we need them to be stuck together, so this is where we're going to layer them. You're going to make this shape, but it's going to be twice this thick because you're going to have 2 layers of plates stuck to each other. So if we look here, these 2 shapes match each other too well, but if I flip this over like this, now if I stick these together by putting one set on top of the other, they will overlap and help hold each other together. And then I go around all the edges and squish them together as hard as possible everywhere so that it's all properly stuck together. And now that is ready to be a base for 1 layer of my castle. To make our castle look as interesting as possible, we're going to use decorative pillars around the windows and entranceways at the front of the castle. So these are examples of what you could use. You may have some pieces like this. They are 6 bricks high, and it's all one piece. It's square at the bottom and then the rest of it is round. It makes an excellent decorative pillar all on its own. And if you do have these, collect them up and try and find, again, matching pairs of them to go on either side of the matching windows. If you don't have pieces like these, or if you want to experiment with making your own, you can make your own columns by collecting square 1 by 1 bricks, 1 stud bricks, 1 stud round pieces, roly pieces like that, and 1 stud cones. And all of those, when stacked, will make very nice pillars. Now, I think the pillars look best if you try and make your pillars match each other as much as possible. And also, copy the design in the original pillars, have the bottom of the pillar be a square brick, and then move on to round bricks. And you could top it with a square brick as well if you want, or you can keep it going round. And you see, again, I've tried to match, like here I use a round brick, so here I use a round brick, and then here I use a cone, here I use a cone. Try and match up whether they're rounds or cones and whether they're square, so that the pillars mirror each other. And if you want to go really colourful, you can even use transparent bricks. Now we have our window panels, our base plates, and our pillars. And the one other thing we'll need before we start assembling an actual level of the castle are arches, bigger arches. So up until now we were looking for 1 by 4 arch bricks to use for windows, but now we're looking for arches for doorways. So there are 3 different arches that you could use. You can use an arch that is 8 studs long and it is 2 bricks high. And then there are 2 different types of arch that are 6 studs long. You can have an arch that is 6 studs long and 2 bricks high, or an arch that is 6 studs long and 1 brick high. And any of these arches will do, and you need 1 of these big arches for each level in your castle. So Like I said, I am going to build a castle that has 3 levels. Each of those levels will need one 8x16 base, 2 matching window panels, at least 2, maybe 4 pillars, and 1 arch. And you can make just 1 level of castle, you could make 2 levels of castle, 3 levels of castle, it's up to you. To start each level of my castle, I'm going to take 1 off the floor pieces and 2 matching window panels and 1 archway. And we start by sticking the window panels onto the base. Now they stick on 1 stud back from the front of the base because we're going to inset them so that we can put the pillars in front to make the front of the castle look more interesting. If my panels are 6 studs long like this, then naturally you'll stick them onto the board so that they reach the end of the board and there's a 4 stud gap in the middle. And then you will need to use an arch that is 6 studs long, either the one that is 2 bricks high like this or the one that is 1 brick high. So in this case I'm using the 2 brick high arch, and then when I've done that I'm going to take 2 pillars and I'm going to stick my pillars on the front, on either side of the door. Now, you can see that that leaves the top of the front uneven, and we're going to come back to how to deal with that in a minute. But first, we're going to look at a different front for our castle. So, on this next level, I'm going to use panels that are 4 studs wide. And again, they want to be 1 stud in from the front of the base, but you can see here I have more choices. Now if I stick them, I don't want to stick them right on the ends like this, because then the gap between them is much too wide for even my biggest arch to cross. If I stick them 1 stud in from the ends of the base, then they're exactly the right width apart to allow for the big arch, the 8 studs long arch, to go across. So this makes a nice wide entrance. Now, of course, you could also stick them 2 studs in from the end, and then we would have the right space for the 6 stud long arch, like this. I'm going to do it with the big arch, though. I'm going to add 4 pillars on the front of this one. So I stick my pillars on either side of each window, so it looks like this. And again, you see this leaves me with a very uneven front. The pillars are one height, the panels are one height, the arch is another. We're going to deal with that in a minute or two. And also, there's the question of side walls and the fact that our front doesn't reach all the way to the edge of the board. Again, we're going to deal with that in a few minutes. Now, for my final castle level, I'm going to use these 2 panels that are both 6 studs wide, and then I'm going to use my 1 brick high arch that's 6 studs long. This is my smallest arch for the central doorway. And then I'm going to use 2 columns, 1 on either side of the doorway, and these are the extra shiny columns. Now that I have my 3 different floors started, I'm going to go across all of them and add walls at the sides. Now, I'm not going to add walls at the back because I want my castle to be like a doll's house. I want to be able to see inside. At the moment, you can see on all 3 of my floors, I have added walls that are not connected to the front yet. On the next level, when I start to flatten everything out, I'm going to make sure I connect them. On this one here, I have made my end walls stick out further than the window panels. It just adds again to the idea of the front of the castle not being all the same level. Now it is time to even out the tops of my floors. This one is the easiest one to do because the pillars and the arch are the same height, because this used the short arch. And all we have to do is put one more layer of bricks around to make everything the same height as the arch and the pillars. With this one, the pillars and the arch are different heights. So the first thing I'm going to do is add 2 1x1 square bricks on top of the pillars to bring them up to the same height as the arch. And then it's the same as before. We just need to build, in this case, 2 layers of bricks to bring the walls up to the same height as the arch. With this one, we need to bring the walls up to the same height as the arch, and that includes this bit of wall at the front that sticks out. And then again we'll need to add onto the tops of the pillars now that I have all 3 floors of my castle designed. Now I have to decide what order to put them in and how to stick them together. This one is the shortest one. It's not as tall as the other floors. I'm going to keep it for the top. I'm going to use this one for the base and use this one in the middle. So when you are sticking a floor on, you have to go around all the edges and be very careful to press down in many places to make sure it has really stuck down. And particularly check the tops of your pillars, because the pillars are not attached to anything else up until this point. And you have to make sure sometimes you need to straighten them so that they will stick down. This is my castle right now. And I think it looks a little bit odd because there's big wide doorways on every level. And obviously that only really works on the ground floor. But the answer to that is to make balconies. On the top one, I'm just going to put a little fence right on the outside set of studs, so it's level with the pillars. It sticks out from the wall a bit, and it does look like a little balcony. In the middle one, where I have the really big opening, I'm going to put a balcony that sticks out. I'm going to take a flat piece that is 6 studs wide, same as my opening, and I'm going to stick it in there, and then I'm going to use some bricks around the edges of it so that nobody falls off the balcony. And actually, you could make it look nicer instead of using bricks. If you have any small arches left, you could use a small arch at the front to make it look more like a balcony. Now, the only thing that's missing is the roof. To make the roof, you're going to need another base that is 8 studs wide and 16 studs long. And then we're going to build a 1 brick high wall around 3 of the sides. Then we want to make the sticky out bits, the ramparts that appear on the top of a castle. And the way we're going to do that is we're going to take 2 2x4 bricks and stick them on the front corners like this. So you're sticking them on so that 3 of the studs are stuck onto the blue bricks, and then the edges stick out by 1 stud. And then we're going to leave a 2 stud gap and use 2x3 bricks all along here. So now it looks like this. These look like the edges that stick out from a castle, and at the sides here we do the same, 2 2x3 bricks here and here. Now, if you don't have enough 2x3 bricks, you can use 2x2 squares and stick them on like this so that half the square is stuck on and the other half is not. But they do knock off easier than if you use 2x3 bricks. And now we stick the roof on just the same way we stuck the other levels on. You go around all the edges, carefully sticking it down, and you make sure that the pillars are lined up and stick into it properly. And there we go. That is our finished 3-level castle with balconies. I hope you enjoyed building your castle, and now that it's finished you can put people in it. I have a princess and a king and some knights on the roof to guard the castle. And then, because it's open at the back, you can design furniture to go inside. You see, here's the king's bed and the princess's throne. You can add whatever you want to your castle. Happy building!